Hi, good evening, all of you.
Good evening, madam.
We have right around 10 students. Yeah, two Sumayyas is there, right? Sumaya, you have come in two devices. So, are there two students called Sumaya? I don't know.
No, madam.
One has left now. Okay. All right, then. So, we'll start our discussion then. Okay. I think I'm meeting after some time, after 2 weeks, I think, right? Okay. Then never mind. I'm going to discuss this area today. I have sent you the note related to this lesson already many days ago. So all of you definitely must have this note with you all now, right? Okay. So this is a kind of lesson which requires your attention and concentration and your understanding as well. Okay, because in this lesson, now earlier we were talking about sounds, no, right? But in this lesson, we are going to talk about sounds, yeah, but a little bit more, uh, right? To tell you exactly, we are going to deal with phonology because so far we were talking about phonetics where we were discussing how each and every sound was produced, right? And what are the physical properties, especially in phonetics, we are talking about the physical properties, physical characteristics. Especially in articulatory phonetics, we talk about how a particular consonant or vowel or diphthong or whatever sound is produced using what kind of speech organs. But in phonology, the area is little bit more advanced than that, where we are usually we are exposed to a discussion on how meaning is expressed, right? How the particular different sounds are combined to express a meaning, or how particular different sounds are combined in meaningful manner. So that is why we define phonology as the scientific and systematic study of the system of sounds or sounds in combination. Okay, right. So in this area called phonology, we need to know, you need to know, of course, what you mean by phonology basically. And other than that, these areas. So you can see the areas which I expect to discuss under this topic. Phonemes, very important term in phonology, right? And then phonemic rules, phonological processes, phonotactics, and suprasegmental features. Actually, suprasegmental features are not coming under phonology. Now you can see in this title, these are three areas, okay? Phonology, phonotactics, suprasegmentals are three interrelated, but still three different areas. So we are going to discuss these three different areas in this lesson, starting with phonology, right? So talking about phonology, number 1, 2, 3. These are the three and yeah, these are the areas that are related, directly related to phonology, what we call phonology, and then we have phonotactics, then finally suprasegmental features. Okay, right. So you might know something about phonology, at least you have, I know, you have learned about this term, especially phoneme, the term phoneme. This term is not new to you all. Am I correct? The
Yes,
term
ma'am.
phoneme, you already know it, okay? Only thing is, you should be able to, if you have already learned, you should be able to like renew your memory, and you need to know a little bit more about phoneme, not only the definition, okay? Especially talking about the minimal pairs and allophones, these terms. So that's what we are going to discuss. And then there is another area which is not yet very familiar to you all, as I understand, as I think. These two, phonemic rules and phonological processes. Because in your diploma course, you may not have, yeah, you have not learned. I'm sure you have not discussed about these number 2 and 3 in a diploma program, but here you will be learning. Okay, so the second and third areas are new to you. And also number 4 is new to you, right? Phonotactics. It's not a complicated area. Okay, I will be introducing phonotactics to you there. And then number 5 is already known thing. Okay, You know about stress, intonation, pitch, all these things. But here also we are going to discuss a little bit more about suprasegmental features. Okay, so these are the areas then which we are going to discuss today. So I try my level best to cover as much as I can from all these 5 areas today, from today's discussion. Okay, right. So we are going to start with phonology. Phonology, in the phonology area, phonemes. Right. Now, you know, in phonology, the terminology is there, right? There are different terms. There are 3 different terms actually: phone, phoneme, and allophone. You know about these 3 different terms, I know that. But from these 3 terms, the phoneme is very much important. Okay, you have to have a sound knowledge about what you mean by a phoneme if you are a linguistic student. Okay, so we'll look at phonemes here. I have sent you all these notes, but please check your note and also the slide here. If there is something not added or missing, or if you need to write something on your own, do it to your note, right? A phoneme is a distinctive or contrastive sound in a language. Okay. Actually, the first line gives you the very basic and most important idea. It's a key about what phoneme is. It says phoneme is a distinctive, one characteristic of phoneme, right? Or contrastive. So we use the term distinctive or contrastive interchangeably. Distinctive or contrastive, because both words give almost the same idea. Sound in a language. Okay, so in our earlier discussions also, we have met sounds, right? We have been actually talking about sounds in talking when we were discussing the vowel sound production, consonant sound production, as well as diphthongs, semi-vowels. All these are sounds, but in phonetics field, we identify them to be simply sounds. Actually speaking, human speech sounds. That is the term. But the same term here is changed to the word phoneme. That's the difference, which means phonemes are the human speech sounds. But in phonology area, we associate so many meanings with the word phoneme. Okay, so these are the meanings we associate with human speech sound, or what you call phoneme. Phoneme is a distinctive. Now these are key terms. If you are writing your answers in any situation, right? Maybe your paper or assignment or whatever kind of evaluations, or wherever you write about phonemes, you use these keywords, right? These are the words that identify or that catch the meanings of the term exactly, right? So what do you mean by distinctive? Here, the meaning is given in the text itself. Distinctive means in this context is that the sound makes a difference in meaning, right? Distinctive means different, but you understand difference in meaning. That is what you mean by distinctive. Difference in meaning. And has communicative value. This is also important because when we use 2 different phonemes, then now that is the point we are going to discuss in the next slide, right? In the coming slides. But I will tell you now. Now, when we use 2 phonemes, 2 different phonemes in 2 words, right? When now, like, just take it like this. Okay, you have these examples. Okay, I'll refer to the same given examples: nab, lab, tab. All right, okay, right. Just consider these 3 words: nab, lab, tab. So all these 3 words are different, right? Now you know why they are different. The difference is caused due to the what? What do you mean by? Due to what? Nab, lab, tab. What does cause the difference among these three words? As you can see these three on screen now.
The first letter, ma'am.
Yes, exactly. It is the first, actually, it's the first sound. Okay. Because, in linguistics, we primarily talk about the pronunciation. So let's use the word sound always than the word letter. Okay. So here you can see the first word has the initial consonant is n. Second word, initial consonant l, and third one t. Other than that, you can see the rest of these three words is the same. It's ab sound, right? Ab. This is the transcription of ab. But actually the first sound is, only the first sound is different. So if you want to put na here, okay, if you want to put na here, the phoneme na, then we have nab. But if you want to put the phoneme la, then we have the word lab. Similarly, if you want to put the phoneme ta, then we have tab, which means according to the sound you choose for the first initial position of these words, the meaning of the word completely changes. The conclusion of this incident is that the phonemes, these three phonemes are meaningful, and they have a meaning of their own. Okay, na has its own meaning, which is different from the meaning of la, and also it's different from the meaning of ta. So each phoneme, not only these three, here you have only three consonants, but when you talk about all the phonemes, there are 44 phonemes. All these 44 phonemes have their own meanings. That is what you mean by distinctive here. The characteristic called distinctive, difference in meaning. And has communicative value means by changing a phoneme in a word, you can communicate a different meaning. I mean, if you want to change this na, right, into la, then the word will never be nab anymore. It will be lab, which means your meaning you want to communicate has completely changed to another meaning. So that's why here we say phonemes have communicative value, because the reason, because they are different from each other. That's why. And different phonemes make contrasting words. This is the very fact I was discussing here now. Okay, now you have this example to prove this point. Different phonemes make contrasting words. So just like in nab, lab, tab, the initial phonemes are different. Because of that, nab is contrasting with lab. And also nab is contrasting with tab, as well as lab is contrasting with tab, because of the initial phoneme, which is different from the other phonemes. Okay, so distinctive and contrastive, these two words are not synonyms. Okay, I should tell you, these two words are not synonyms, but they are closely associated here when we talk about phonemes. Phonemes are distinctive, that is why they are contrasting. That's why they have a kind of, they can make contrast in words, right? Okay, so hope you got your memory refreshed about phonemes, right? Now, when we talk about the phonemes, this is usually discussed, the minimal pairs. Actually, minimal pairs, knowing about minimal pairs is very important to understand this distinctive feature of phonemes. Right now, you should understand why something called minimal pairs has come into this discussion, because we were talking about phonemes. The relationship is by using minimal pairs. So by understanding the minimal pairs, we can understand the characteristics of phonemes. We can understand how phonemes are contrastive or distinctive by looking at the minimal pairs. Okay, that is how minimal pairs are coming into our discussion here. Now look at this. a minimal pair is a set of different words consisting of all the same sounds except for one. Now, you know, a minimal pair, it's a pair. Pair means two, no? Right. Minimal pair, if you just consider it in singular meaning, singular number, minimal pair means a pair of two words, a pair of words, which means two words. Then what can you say about these two words? These two words are two different words, right? These two words are two different words, but almost all the sounds are the same, except for one sound. Except for one sound. The one sound which contrasts is then determined to be a phoneme since it makes a difference in meaning. Okay, so this different sound we can use to prove the fact that phonemes are distinctive and each phoneme has its own meaning. Okay, right now actually in the earlier example, I was doing the same thing. I was taking three words and I was asking you to look at the first sound there. There are three words, but the same incident is happening here, taking two words in a pair. Okay, right, we will look at the examples, but before that you have another description. Just turn to that example actually, right? We could set up a phonetic environment or a sequence of sounds such as an environment containing the sound sequence at. If we then establish a blank slot preceding this sequence, which means at is the latter part of the word, and before at you have a blank. Okay, now you can understand here I have written at in phonetic script. So this blank means I'm going to put a sound or phoneme into that blank. Now then what can we do? Substitute different consonants in this slot. We can see if we get different words. If we get different words, which means if we do, then each of these consonants is a phoneme, right? Okay, now look at these words. Right, now this is what you have, right? You have a word, right? First sound is a blank and the rest is at. So into this blank, we can put these phonemes which are underlined here in these words. Okay, we can put per. If you want, you can put per, or you can put b, s, m, that, g actually, right? It's pronounced like that. And f, the, w, k, like that. So depending on which phoneme we are going to put into the blank, the meaning of the word changes, right? The meaning of the word changes. Right now, actually, rather than a pair, there are a lot of words here. But now here also you can find more examples. But look at this. Bat and cat, we can identify as a minimal pair. These two words form a minimal pair. Like nat and wet. Right? Okay. Now I ask you to think a little bit more here. Right? Now I hope this point was clear to you. Now in this discussion, what is the point I made? Can you understand it clearly? Or did you understand? Not can. Did you? Did you get the point? This is where the point is given, right? If we establish a blank slot preceding this sequence, means this atom, and substitute different consonants in this slot, which means p, b, s, m, etc., then we can see if we get different words. right? If we get different words, which means words like pat, bat, sat, matten, then what is the conclusion? These phonemes, okay, these sounds, per, b, sir, ma, g, f, these are phonemes, as you can find here, right? Now this here I have given you clearly the point there. Per, b, sir, ma, na, f, the, w, and k are all phonemes because they make different words. Well, before going into the, okay, right now, I think you can follow these two pairs as well clearly, bat and cat, right? They are also b and k are phonemes. The rest of the word is the same, at. But bat refers from cat because b has a different meaning from k, which means b is one phoneme, k is another phoneme. The same you can apply to nat and wat also, right? Well, now, so far we were talking about minimal pairs in relation to the consonants, but in the next part of the note, you are looking at the application of minimal pair concept to the vowels also, right? Before we go into the vowels, I have another small question for you to think, okay? Take this one. It's not given in the text, but I am just adding something more here. Okay, bat and kitten. Now these two words, if you just try to analyze a minimal pair more, right? More than what I just discussed. Okay, then you can talk now. What is the difference between bat and cat? Anybody can answer. Somebody should answer, right? I like if everybody answers, whoever. My question is, what is the difference between bat and cat?
First letter, madam.
First sound, first sound. First sound means b in
B.
batten and then k in cat, right? Okay, so that you know already. That point is clear, no? That is why b and k are different phonemes because these two words have two different meanings because of these two different phonemes. Fine. I have a second question now. Right? What is the difference between these two phonemes? What is the difference between these two phonemes then? Now we know these two phonemes are different. My question is, what is the difference? By now you all have an idea, right? A knowledge about consonants, the types of consonants according to place of articulation, manner of articulation, all these things, right? Don't think too much. Just think about place of articulation, manner of articulation, and voicing, right? These three factors. According to these three, can you tell me something about the differences or similarities? Whatever you can get about these two. Yeah.
B is a voiced sound
East.
and K is a voiceless.
Okay. Fine. Right? That is about voicing, right? Regarding voicing, B is voice sound, whereas K is voiceless sound, right? Fine. And any other difference or similarity? Now this is a difference. This is how B and K differ, right? So apart from this point, now remember the stuff we have discussed earlier. Anything else? Okay, now this is about voicing now. Talking about the place of articulation and manner of articulation. These are the three deciding factors about consonants, right? Okay. Talking about the place of articulation, do you have anything? Okay. Are they different or similar? Or both are the same? place of articulation, which means in which place inside your vocal tract you produce b and k. In which place? Same or different? B and k. Yes. No, not clear. Your silence, I can't understand whether the things
Excuse me,
we have.
ma'am. Excuse me.
Yeah, yeah.
The B is pronounced between the lips.
There is a particular term or name which we use to identify that kind of consonants using the two lips. Can you remember bilabial? Bilabials?
Yes, madam.
Right. So, b is a bilabial, right? According to the place of articulation. And k? Where do you produce k? What is the name? Now, these are the things you should remember by now, of course. K is a velar consonant because we produce k by touching the what? Back of the tongue with the velum or soft palate. Velar. K. Velar consonant. So regarding place of articulation too, b and k are different. Two different places. And talking about the manner of articulation, do you think b and k are same or different? If you can, yeah, guess. Same or different, b and k? Yes. No idea. B is a plosive or stop. And k is also stop or plosive. Plosive, stop, both terms are similar. Na? Right. So you can see then talking about the manner of articulation, both are same. Both are produced in the same way, same manner by completely blocking the airflow. Right. Okay. Now this is not a time for us to discuss about the production of sounds, but I wanted you to think a little bit more than simply identifying two phonemes are different. Okay, you should know where do these phonemes differ. Simply saying b is different from k is not enough. No, you have to know how. Okay, now that is what I was showing to you. Now here, according to these two words in this minimal pair, b, k, bat and cat are different from the initial phoneme, which is b, and the other one k. And the differences between b and k lie in phonation as well as in place of articulation. Because b is voiced, k is voiceless, and b is a bilabial, k is a velar consonant. And talking about manner, both are the same, right? So this is where these two phonemes are different. Okay, okay, right. I will give you another example before I go into the other one, the other point. Right. Okay. Now tell him about these two words. Tenden.
T is a voiceless. D is a voice.
Now we are talking about sounds, right? Which means tenden, these two words. Now this is a minimal pair. And these two words are different from the initial phoneme, t and d, because of t and d, right? Then what do you know about t? We say t is different from d, no? That is why 10 is different from 10, right? Okay, these are the two phonemes then. Now, can you identify my next question? Second question is, how do you find t to be different from d? What are the differences between t and d? Go by these three factors: voicing, place, and manner of articulation. Talking about the voicing,
There is a voiceless. There is a voiced.
the voiced, right? Place,
Place. There is a dental sound. And
no, there is not a dental sound. If you can just based on the either Sri Lankan English pronunciation or British English pronunciation. According to the International Phonetic Alphabet, both sounds are categorized as what?
Alveolar.
Alveolar. Alveolar
Alveolar.
consonants. Both are alveolar consonants. In Sri Lankan context, according to Sri Lankan English pronunciation, these are post-alveolar. But let's talk about the British pronunciation, International Phonetic Alphabet, right? According to that, both are alveolars. And what about the manner? Manner of articulation, third, these two sounds are also plosives or stop consonants. Ta is a stop consonant and da is also stop or plosive. Right now, this example, this minimal pair, you can find 10 and den is a pair of words which are different from each other. And the difference is caused due to ta and da. And the difference between ta and da can be found only in one factor. Can you remember? Can be found only in one factor. That means what is the factor? Voicing. Other than voicing, both place of articulation and manner of articulation are the same. Only the voicing is different. So I can tell it like this also. The difference between 10 and den is caused due to voicing. Is caused due to voicing difference. Okay, so that is how you need to further understand about the minimal pairs, the function of minimal pairs. Okay, right. So I'm going to the next slide. Is it all right if I erase these things? Shall I clear my writings?
okay, ma'am.
Right, now, earlier minimal pairs are discussed talking about the consonants, no? But we can identify minimal pairs in vowels as well. Vowels, right? Now, there is an example. Actually, not one example. There are so many words here you can find. The phonetic environment is given here. You can find per. Initial consonant is per. Final consonant is t. So, the sound in the middle. Sound in the middle. That's what we are going to pay our attention to, right? Here, the place I have highlighted in yellow, in between per and t. Right. So what can we do? We can fill in this blank with whatever vowel we like. With whatever vowel we like. Now you can see the options here. Right? If we want, according to the meaning you want to express, we can take E, short E, the vowel short E. Then it will be pit. Or you can take long E, either short E or long E. The spellings are P-E-A-T, right? Then it is peat, which has another different meaning. And then we have another option, a diphthong, a, like pet. Or we can fill in the blank in the middle with O, like pot. Or we can use another diphthong, ow, like pout. Or if you use U, it's like, not you, right? U, it's put. U. And if you use a, then the word, the meaning of the word completely changes to pet. You have another option, a also. You can use a if you like, then it will be pet. So can you understand? these vowels which I have just underlined, right? E, A, O, Au, U, A, and A. All these vowels are distinct phonemes. Distinct phonemes means phonemes which are different from each other in meaning. And that is why we can create a range of words like this which are different from each other in meaning. Okay, so you actually, there are so many words, not a pair, more than a pair. There are so many words, but the point is this. I hope this is clear to you. If anything is not clear, please let me know. I can repeat. Right? Okay. So that's about the minimal pair discussion. Then I told you I started this discussion telling to you, talking about minimal pairs in isolation is not that important, right? Actually, minimal pair is secondary in importance. The most important discussion is phoneme. You have to know about phoneme. And when you are talking about phoneme, you have to say phoneme is a distinctive sound unit. Then how are you going to prove that? That phoneme is a distinctive sound unit, then you have to take examples from minimal pairs. That is how minimal pairs are important and related to this discussion, right? Okay, then shall I go to the discussion of allophones? I hope you are clear so far, right? Okay, so allophones are also important thing when we talk about right? When you are talking about phoneme, similarly, phone and allophones are two other terms. Then knowing about allophones is also important, right, in phonology. So we'll have a look at this. Allophone, allophone. Phone means sounds, right? So what do you mean by allophone then? It's a predictable variant of a phoneme, right? Variant actually. It's a variant of a phoneme. Allophones are the individual members of a class of sound. Actually, here class of sound we consider to be a phoneme, or the pronunciable or concrete realizations of an abstraction, that is a phoneme, right? Okay, so I hope you can try to understand this part of the note. Simply put, I can put it simply like this, right? Now we have two terms now, phoneme and now allophone. Phoneme already you know, okay? Phoneme is a sound which is meaningful, and that meaning helps us identify a word from another word as different, okay? Which means phoneme is a contrastive, uh, meaningful sound, right? Then we have a phoneme. I will write the letter P here to indicate phoneme, okay? And consider phoneme as a family, right? In a family, there is not only one person, there are so many members in a family, right? And if you consider phoneme, the term phoneme, to refer to the concept of family, right? Then there are members in that family. We'll say there are three members, okay? And these three members are the ones which we identify here as allophones. I will write the letter A only, okay, for allophone, right? Phoneme is the large family, and in that family or within that family, we have different members, because two members are never the same, no, right? In a whatever family, even if there are twins, right? Then each and every member is here identified or can be identified as allophones. And there's another explanation for that, referring to this line, right? Allophones are the concrete realizations of an abstraction, right? Okay, so take phoneme as the abstraction. You know, abstraction. You understand the word abstraction here. Abstraction is something which is not physically existing, right? It's a concept. It's a concept, abstraction. Then phoneme is referred to as an abstraction because phoneme is there in our mind, right? It's there in our mind. I know about the sound B, right? I know about the, if you just think about me as a speaker of the English language, I speak in English, right? Now then I know about the sound B. That knowledge of the sound B is there inside my mind, right? But when I talk, when I pronounce, that B sound is pronounced in different ways. When I put B in the initial position of a word, like bat, okay, bat, bat. When I strongly pronounce it, that pronunciation of B is different from the pronunciation of B in the middle of a word, like bubble, right? When you say bubble, then B is in the middle position, which is different from the B in the initial position in bat. It's not that strong, okay? And what if I say cab? A word like cab. It is not strong. Sometimes it is not heard by my listener. I might say cab, cab. Not as strong as burn, bubble. So can you understand? Bur can be pronounced in different ways. These different pronunciations or concrete realizations. Concrete realization means pronunciations. Pronunciations are different from each other. But still, these three types of B sounds, pronunciations of B, belong to the phoneme B. That is why we say phoneme is the family, and within the family, we have different pronunciations of that phoneme. And these different pronunciations are what you call allophones. Okay? Was that clear about allophones?
Yes, ma'am.
There are some more examples coming in. In English, you have aspirated th and the non-aspirated th. Actually, don't confuse, right? Now, this is not th. This is th. There is a typing error. Actually, this symbol should be written like this. It should be written like this. So, if you have hard copies, please do the amendment. This the symbol that looks like the letter H should be written in this way, and you use square brackets, right? Square brackets are different from slashes. We use slashes like this. We use these slashes to write the phoneme, and we use square brackets to write an allophone inside it. That's the difference. Then the example here says, this is aspirated t, and then we have non-aspirated t as well, right? Okay, aspirated means you issue a puff of air when you produce a sound like t, t. That is aspirated t. And non-aspirated means you don't issue any puff of air, you just say t. Among the native English speakers, we can find this aspiration than non-natives like us. We don't use this aspiration very often. Okay, right. Well, so then I hope you understood the point. So these are the two allophones of the phoneme T. So we can write it like this. T is the family, the phoneme, and we have two allophones, aspirated T and non-aspirated T. So you need to take this chart if by looking at the note, if you just think that you won't be able to get the point later on clearly, you can write down the short form. Right? These are the allophones. I will just write like this. Okay. So these allophones are phonetically similar, but not identical. Identical means similar, no? Right? They are very similar only. Other than that, they are not 100% similar. They are not identical. And allophones are non-distinctive or non-contrastive variants of a phoneme. This is important when you talk about allophones, right? If you are going to compare and contrast the two terms, phoneme and allophone, this is a point you can use. Because, by now, phonemes are contrastive and distinctive. Because by using or by changing a phoneme, we can change the meaning of a word. Therefore, phonemes are contrastive and distinctive. But by changing an allophone, do you think we can change the meaning of a word? Can we change the meaning of a word by changing an allophone? For example, my early example, can you remember? I forgot my example. Earlier I was taking B, right? In the initial position, bat. At the middle position, bubble. In position, cap. Right? Okay. So now bat, bubble, and cab. These are three different words. Fine. Okay. But now when you think about changing pronunciation, like take the first word bat. There b I pronounce with a stress. Bat. Normally anybody pronounces the initial consonant with a stress, right? You know that. So bat. That is how. But if I pronounce that same word without stress, that means using another allophone, do you think the meaning of the word changes? Yes or no? Does the meaning of the word change if I do not stress b in the initial position of bat? What do you think? The meaning of the word changes or not?
Change, madam.
Really? Are you sure? I was telling this. I was talking about this bat. Okay, this is the phonetic script now, right? Bat. This is the word. And I told you, usually we stress the initial sound. B, bat. There, the allophone is, what is the allophone? Stressed B. This is the allophone. But if I say the same word without stressing, usually it is not very easy. Automatically the first sound gets stressed. But just think that I do not stress it. Okay, right. Stress mark I put here. But in the second example, I just pronounce the sound b without stressing like that. My question is now here in these both words, right? First word and second word, I have used two different allophones of the same phoneme b. The phoneme is b, right? But you can find in the first word stressed b and in the second word non-stressed b, which means these are two allophones. Now, if I come to my question, I asked If I change one allophone, like for example, first word, I have used stressed burn, but if I use unstressed burn, the other allophone, does the meaning of the word change or not? The meaning of the word changes or not? Word means back. Does it change or not? If I do not stress the initial verb. So Maya, do you say yes now also?
No, ma'am.
Right? The meaning of the word does not change even if we change the allophones. But if we change the phoneme, right now, for example, if I remove "ber" here and use "per," then what do you think? The meaning of the word changes completely. That is why we say phonemes are contrastive. But by changing allophones, the meaning of the word does not change. That is why here we identify allophones as non-distinctive or non-contrastive. Okay, that is the major difference between phoneme and allophone. Okay, variants of a phoneme. Then allophones are non-distinctive variants of a phoneme. Since substituting one allophone for another allophone of the same phoneme will not lead to a different word, which means it will not change the meaning of the word. So replacing t with t in top or t with t in stop will not lead to different words, just slightly odd sounding ones only. Okay, right. So I was explaining this point, the meaning of this point. Why do we say allophones are non-distinctive? Right? So have I made it clear to you, or do you have any doubt talking about the allophones? If you have any doubt, you can forward them now, right? Right. Okay, there are some more characteristics of allophones coming in here, right? So we look at them quickly. Allophones of a phoneme are predictable. They are conditioned by the phonetic environment, right? Which determines the appearance of one or another allophone. So we can say that the aspirated version of t is predicted by its position word or syllable initially before a stressed vowel. The non-aspirated version is predicted by all other phonetic environments. Okay, what do you mean by now? Usually we say, we can say, predict means we can say which kind of allophone should be coming in a particular phonetic environment. You have an example here. Aspirated version of t, that means t. We know usually aspirated t is coming initially before a stressed vowel. When there is a vowel in front of that, the aspirated t can occur. Whereas non-aspirated t can occur in all the other phonetic environments, not in front of a vowel. Okay, right? Like now here you see stop and top, the difference between top and stop. They are in top, t is aspirated. It occurs in front of o, the vowel o. Okay, but and also word initially in the initial position. But regarding stop, this t is not aspirated. Although it occurs in front of a vowel sound, it is not in the initial position of a word. So therefore, it is not aspirated. Right? That is the point we make here. So we can predict, we can say early regarding what kind of allophone, whether this allophone is aspirated allophone or whether this is stressed allophone or non-stressed allophone or weak allophone, not realized allophone. Likewise, we can usually predict it uh, when we use a language, right? Okay, and there's another characteristic. Allophones are positional variants, right? Positional variants which are in complementary distribution. So you need to be familiar with this term also, complementary distribution. That means a sound occurs when then in that place the other sound does not occur. Where one occurs, the other does not. That's the point. So we'll go back to the same example here. Bat, right? I told you the first burr in first word, allophone, burr is stressed. And the burr in second word is not stressed. So can I use both allophones together? Both stressed allophone and non-stressed allophone together in the same word? I can't. When one allophone occurs, the other allophone does not occur. When one allophone means when the stressed burr occurs in this word batten, non-stressed burr does not occur. Vice versa. That is what you mean by complementary distribution, where one occurs, the other does not occur. They never occur in the same environment together. Okay, they never occur in the same environment. They occur in different environments. And also they never overlap in distribution. That is what you mean by complementary. Their distributions complement or complete one another, right? Okay, so remember allophones are in complementary distribution. And also allophones are predictable. These are the two other characteristics of allophones. That point is backed by some examples. Again, talking about aspirated and non-aspirated t. Examples: t and t never occur in the same position. T occurs syllable initial, and t occurs in all other environments. Syllable initial position. Okay. So therefore, we can conclude that t and t are allophones of the phoneme t. So this is about the use of the symbols, slashes, right? Remember that when you write your answers, if you happen to write phoneme and allophone, so show it in your writing. If you are writing a phoneme, you need to put the symbol in between two slashes. Okay, but when you write an allophone, you have to write it in between two square brackets, pair of square brackets. And always remember, phoneme is just the abstraction. That means the idea of a sound, right? Idea of a sound, but that idea is physically or in pronunciation produced in different ways. And these different ways are what we identify as allophones. Okay, right. Are you all listening? Are you all following these points? Especially the things I was referring to in phoneme and allophone?
Yes, ma'am.
Ramsilu, right? I remember. Okay. So any problem? If you all have any problem, please let me know. Otherwise, I may be going on telling and talking, right? So if you have any doubt, please stop me and ask. Okay, right. Now, what about this part? Let me. Okay. Before we go into the phonemic rules, you have this small area, right? Talking about phonemes and allophones. So Some common factors, right? Phonemes and allophones are always language specific, language or dialect specific. Like for example, Greek, E and E are allophones of the same phoneme. So you have to understand that. Okay. Phonemes and allophones are language specific, which means certain phonemes and allophones that are existing in one language, you can't expect to be existing the same way in another language. That may be different. Now, there are some examples in Greek, short E and long E, right? These are the two sounds. Short E and long E are allophones of the same phoneme. But now in English, what do you mean by these two vowel sounds? They are two different phonemes. Because now, you know, there are 12 pure vowels. In the 12 pure vowels, short E and long E are two different vowel sounds. So in English, these two are phonemes, whereas in Greek, these two sounds are allophones. In Japanese, these two sounds, right? L and R are allophones of the same phoneme. Hence, the difficulty many native Japanese speakers have with these two distinct sounds in English. Because in English, L, R are totally different sounds. No? But in Japanese, both sounds belong to one phoneme family. They are allophones. But in English, no, they are phonemes. So because of that, some the Japanese speakers, native Japanese speakers, find it problematic to use English. Because in English, these two are different. And in some dialects of North American English, specifically those which do not distinguish pin and pen, the phonemes E and A are allophones of the same phoneme. Right. So it's they are not only in languages, in certain dialects also, these differences can be seen. In North American English, right? The phoneme E and A, these two are allophones. North American English. But in British English, as well as the standard American English, E and A are two different phonemes. Okay, right. So this is the point I wanted to make. Phonemes and allophones are always language or dialect specific. So they can change. They can vary from language to language. So that is why we say phonology depends on language, right? Because the thing is, if you just compare and contrast the two words, phonetics and phonology, phonetics are not language specific, right? Whereas phonology is language specific. Because phonemes and allophones are language or dialect specific. Therefore, phonology is language or dialect specific. That's why we have Sinhala phonology, English phonology, Tamil phonology, Japanese phonology, Greek phonology. Likewise, we can identify the phonology of particular languages. But we never say English phonetics, Sinhala phonetics, Tamil phonetics. No. Phonetics are not depending on particular language. They are common. Mostly common. Okay, right. Well, then we are coming to phonemic rules. This rule part you need to understand very clearly. Okay, otherwise later on you might be wondering if you are not now listening attentively and if you are not understanding or trying to understand, later on you never understand. Okay, if you don't do it now, right? This is another part. Actually, we are not going into the depth of phonemic rules. I'm only introducing you what you mean by phonemic rules and phonological processes. Right. Phonemic rules specify the different environments in which the allophones of a given phoneme are found. Yeah, actually, what do the phonemic rules do? They specify different environments where or in which the allophones of a given phoneme are found. Right. Now, uh, earlier few seconds ago I was talking about allophones. Then allophones, all the allophones are not occurring at the same time, no, in the same environment. They are complementary, in complementary distribution, right? They are in complementary distribution means when one allophone occurs, the other allophone does not occur there. Then we have to know in which environment a particular allophone occurs. To understand it and to streamline it, we can find these phonemic rules. So we'll discuss the basics of phonemic rules now. Before we go into that discussion, you have this table. I think I have included this table in your note. These are some diacritic marks, right? Diacritic marks that designate phonological processes. So when you write phonemic rule or phonological process, you will be using these marks, right? These marks, the diacritic marks are there in this column as well as this column, right? And joining columns give you the meanings of these diacritic marks. Right? If you happen to see this sort of a diacritic mark, that means we talk about devoicing there, right? Devoicing means voicing is not happening. Voice is left, right? No voice. It becomes voiceless. That's the way. It becomes voiceless. And this is for aspiration and unreleased. There are some sounds which are pronounced by the speaker, but the listeners do not hear them properly, unreleased. Dentalization, some sounds can be pronounced with the touching the tip of the tongue with the upper teeth. Dentalization. There are originally dental sounds, but we can make some sounds dental. So if we make a particular sound dentalized, then this is the diacritic mark we use in writing that phonemic rule. And syllabic, this is the diacritic mark. And for nasal release, you can use this one. And lateral release, this is not number one, okay? This should be l sound. And if you are lengthening any sound, this is how you should write it in the phonemic rule. Okay, lengthening. And fronting, this is the sound, the symbol. Retracting, nasalization, velarization, the symbols look mostly the same, right? And labialization, right? Okay. So better to remember some diacritic marks, then you will be easily reading, right? You will be able to read phonemic rules very easily if you remember these diacritic marks, right? Well, so here you have some basic idea about the phonemic rules, some basics. This part is there in your note, but I invite you all to take 2-3 minutes, like leisurely, go through this part, in the sense, read this part leisurely, okay? Because before I interrupt you, before I introduce the whole thing to you, you yourselves please go through and try to catch the basic idea. Then I will explain, right? Okay. Okay. Reading once is enough. Only thing is you need to have some idea about this, the basis of phonemic rule, and that's why I wanted you to get that idea on your own, right? I asked you to read it. Well, so did you understand this part? Hmm? Was this clear, this description? If this is clear, I mean, then I should not involve myself in explaining. Am I correct? Do I have to explain?
Yes, madam.
Huh? Very calm and quiet, no? Right? You all are not talking. I don't know whether you have read this, right? Actually, I didn't give you a break. I want you to read this on your own, right? Then only you will understand something when I am talking about this, right? Uh, the phonemic rules of allophonic variation can be formalized. This is the basic rule. Actually, this is not a particular rule. This is the basis of the formation of phonemic rules. So how do X, Y, Z are there instead of particular sounds or symbols? So when we talk about an exact phonemic rule, we can replace X, Y, Z with the relevant sounds or phonemes. But here, you need to understand the direction, the phonemic rule, like X, Y, Z elsewhere. X becomes Y in a particular phonetic environment, and it is Z elsewhere than the other environment. That's the simple point. So we'll go through this. The symbol between the slashes, that means X, represents the phoneme. Right? This is the phoneme, while the symbols in square brackets represent the allophones. So X is the phoneme and Y and Z both are allophones. Arrow means is realized or has the allophones, right? Okay, then X becomes means X is realized either as Y or Z in particular environments. Okay, then how do we read the rule? The phoneme X has the allophones Y and Z. Okay, the phoneme X has the there are two allophones, then Y and Z, and the slash, this slash. I hope you notice this slash. This means in the environment. Okay, following the slash, the phonetic environment in which the allophone is found is stated. Here we need to write the particular environment. And then the second allophone is Z. There you have again the slash. So in the environment of no particular environment is mentioned, instead the word elsewhere. So other than the environment mentioned after Y, after the allophone Y, in all the other situations. That is what you mean by elsewhere. Meaning all other environments, right? The elsewhere allophone is the one with the widest distribution. So you should know the phoneme X has two allophones, Y and Z, and Y is used in limited situations, restricted, limited environments, whereas Z can be seen in many other environments. Widest distribution. That is why we have the word elsewhere, because we can't mention the phonetic environment specifically one by one. Okay, distribution is so much wide. The one found in the greatest variety of environment, right? Widest distribution. Note that elsewhere includes all environments, same point, excluding the environments already listed above in the rule. Thus, you always read the rule from top to bottom. From top to bottom, right? Which means from Y to Z. First, we say the phoneme X is the allophone Y in so and so environment. First part of the rule. Second part of the rule, the phoneme X is the allophone Z in all the other situations or in all the other environments except for the earlier one. Okay, this is how normally we read the phonemic rules. But you don't have X, Y, Z, you have the phonemes there. And when we write environments, there also we have some abbreviations. Because now I think you have received the module on this subject, right? Linguistic structure of modern English. May I know whether you have received that module or do you have that module with you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody? Others? Now today I listen only from Sumaya and Ansel was also talking. How about the others? Do you have this module on the subject? Yeah, all the students?
Good evening, ma'am. I didn't receive it yet because I newly joined. I joined from today.
Ah, really? Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
then what about the lecture materials? Already I have discussed. You need to.
This is my very first lectures that I'm listening to, so I think they will send me, ma'am, very soon.
Yeah.
They
If
didn't
not,
mention anything, but I think they will send me
okay,
soon.
sure. Otherwise, you have to ask for, right? You will find.
Okay, ma'am.
Receive.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
What about the other students? Old ones? No sound, nothing. Okay, what I wanted to tell you is this. Even if you have the module or not, it is not that important here, okay? So don't try to find out the module even if you don't have it. Just let it pass, no issue, because that module is little bit more advanced and that is only the basis on which we have prepared the syllabus, right? So don't think that everything in the module is going to be discussed in these lectures as well as will be used to test your knowledge. No, never. Your knowledge will be tested from the syllabus which has been prepared based on that module. You understand? So therefore, even if you don't have the module, it's all right. Okay, you have the lecture notes, so lecture materials, then that would be fine, right? But if you have the module, that would be an added advantage because you can go through it and gain more knowledge on the areas which we discussed here. That is why having the module is important. Otherwise, now there are certain areas, certain further areas given in the module which are not considered in preparing the syllabus. So don't confuse. You can read the module, no problem, right? Read it and get more and more knowledge, fine. But don't get confused and don't be under the wrong impression that you will get questions from that module. Okay. I mean, you will get questions from that module, but the areas which are covered in these lectures in the given syllabus. So therefore, all these things are available in that module. So you can read it for your further knowledge. There's no harm there. But before that, actually, I invite you to go through the lecture materials. Before the lecture, usually I send you the lecture notes now, right? Before the lecture. So at least if you can go through the lecture note by the time you come to the lectures, it will be really useful because during the lecture, then you will understand something more. Otherwise, if you listen to these things all new, right, then it might take some more time for you to process these things in your brain. Okay, right. Fine. So here I was talking about these environments, some abbreviations of these environments, right? So just have some understanding about how to use these abbreviations differently when you write phonemic rules. Now, together with the meaning, you can find some commonly used abbreviations here, right? You can find this sort of abbreviation. Abbreviation in the sense, these are symbols. Don't confuse with the word abbreviation, right? These are symbols. The meaning of this symbol in writing a phonemic rule is this word or syllable boundary. To indicate a word boundary or syllable boundary, we can use this hash mark. Actually, I don't want to call it hash because this is phonology. So these symbols may be identified in different ways. And this is another symbol. You can find it like a line, right? Straight line. Position of the allophone. It means the position of the allophone. And with this together, word or syllable initial. Right now, you know this first symbol, no? It indicates a boundary, and if it is preceded by this single line, which means word or syllable initial position of the word or initial position of the syllable. And if you have it like this in this manner, then word or syllable final position, because this marks the boundary, no? End. And this is the beginning of the word, right? And this sort of a symbol, VO and blank kind of thing, and again VO between vowels, right? VO stands for vowel. And this sort of combination of symbols, word or syllable initial before a stressed vowel. Now, stressed vowel you can find with this small diacritic mark. Can you see it? Hope you have noticed this one, right? This one. So this sort of a mark is used to indicate that vowel is stressed. And this is C for consonant. So C and this straight line means following a consonant. Consonant, and after that particular allophone is used. Right? Okay. So in all these places, these are the places where we are going to write allophones. These are the places where the allophones are coming in. In writing phonemic rule, we deal with allophones. No? We are going to show where the allophones are coming in and how, what happens to them, all these things. So therefore, this straight line is important for you to understand. Okay, now we are coming to some examples. I'm not going to give you so many examples because I don't want to confuse you too much about this. But you should know about phonemic rules. That is very important. As students who are studying phonology. Now, carefully read this one, this example, and try to catch the idea, right? The phonemic rule, the voiceless stopper has a number of variants. Right? We are talking about the voiceless stop. That means per. Per is the phoneme. And it has number of variants, means it has number of allophones. These are the phonemic rules that are written to show the use of these allophones of the phoneme per, right? Okay, now try to understand. The explanation is given down here, right? Okay. The first one, the phoneme per is realized as aspirated per. Aspirated per here. Syllable initially before a stressed vowel. syllable initially before a stressed vowel. Then phoneme per is pronounced. Realized means pronounced, right? Realized means pronounced as aspirated per. Per. At the beginning of a syllable or a word before a stressed vowel. Before means following, the stressed vowel is following that. Okay. Hope you read the environment clearly. Then you have examples. Port, party, computer, apart. These are some examples. So here now, I hope this aspiration might not make a big sense in you, because we are not usually using aspiration when we pronounce or when we talk in English. But still, I want you to understand this point anyway. Okay. This phonemic rule says the phoneme per is pronounced with aspiration or as aspirated per when it occurs in front of a syllable or in front of a word, and the following sound is a stressed vowel sound. So here, first word, port. Actually, it is pronounced as port, but we say port. Right? That's a different story. Port, party, in both situations, word initially, okay? And the third example and fourth example, syllable initially. Computer, apart. This pu is the syllable, right? So they are computer, and in apart, this is the beginning of the second syllable. So per is aspirated. That is the first phonemic rule. Okay. About the use of voiceless stop per. And then number 2. It is unreleased. It here means the phoneme per, right? Unreleased. This is how we show the unreleased per before another stop consonant or word finally. Before another stop consonant. Now, this is where the allophone occurs, okay? This is where the allophone occurs. So, it occurs in front of a consonant. Stop consonant. This is how you can see stop consonant has been written. Or to indicate that you have a comma, see, comma, word finally at the end of a word. So this phoneme per is not released in 2 different environments. One environment is in front of a stop consonant. The other environment is at the final position of a word. You can understand it with these examples, I hope, right? Here, kept, opt, scepter, cap, rope. Okay. In cap and rope, you can find the second environment, this one. That means per, the phoneme per becomes or is pronounced as an unreleased per. Unreleased means the speaker pronounces, but the listener does not hear it very prominently, right? Sometimes almost not heard even. So that happens in the last 2 example words, cap and rope. I say per in cap, but you don't hear it very much. Even rope, I say, I pronounce per, but it is not very much or very clearly heard, right? Okay. And the first environment is unreleased per occurs in front of a stop consonant also, like kept, opt, scepter. Stop consonant is in capped. This is t, right? When you write this in phonetics, you would find the final consonant is t. Then per occurs in front of t. And here also it is t. And in scepter, they are also t. So the stop consonant is t there in all the 3 examples. Then also the phoneme per is not released, right? That is the second phonemic rule. Third phonemic rule, it is per in all other environments, Right? It is per means it is the simple or mere phoneme per in all the other environments. Then these environments specified in rule number 1 and rule number 2. Right? In sport, spring, apron, proclaim, tipsy, you can find simply per is pronounced. So this per is not hyphenated, or I mean, it is not aspirated. Sorry, it is not aspirated, and it is not released. It is not unreleased. These two characteristics are not available in number 3. It is normally per. Okay, and that per, the usual per, occurs in all the environments than the first and second one. Okay, so these are the, now we can find 3 different phonemic rules are here. 3 rules. All the 3 rules are talking about the use of the allophones of the phoneme per. Are they clear? Talking about the phonological processes, it's more or less the same thing there, right? Phonological processes are the general processes of phonological change. Phonological change involved in allophonic variation, right? These processes apply to classes of sounds that share one or more features. Now we will look at that also. Hope you were clear with the idea given here, okay? With the idea given in the word phonological process. The phonological change, that means the pronunciation change involved in allophonic variation. So we'll see how it happens. We have a phonological rule here. This stands for, C includes stops, right? Like pool, in pool, boot, tool, should also be underlined. Dot, cock, good, right? Stops like that. And also fricatives like th, f, some are not underlined, you need to check that. V, s, z, sh. And also, okay, I will circle, then you can easily find. C includes stops, fricatives, affricates like ch and j. There are 2 affricates, ch and j, and also nasals. N, m, and liquids. L and r. Please consider underlining these relevant sounds. Okay, so this symbol includes any of these types of sounds: stops, fricatives, affricates, liquids, nasals, anything. And then VO rounded includes, VO rounded means vowel, rounded vowels, right? There are some rounded vowels, no? Both tens and lakhs, oo and o, oo, o. These are the rounded vowels. Then, so this phonological rule says what? Okay, I need to check this CW, this one. Labialized. Right? Stops, fricatives. I'm explaining this phonological rule now. Okay. Stops, fricatives, affricates, nasals, liquids. Any of these types of sounds become Okay, labialized. That means all consonants are labialized before rounded vowels. This is the phonological rule that expresses this point. So this is how we can write using the symbols. All consonants that belongs to any of these given categories become or they are labialized. This is how you should show the labialized consonant before rounded vowels. So you know that, right? Now these words given brackets are the examples for this phonological rule. You know, take the first set, per. Per is a stop consonant, right? And per in the word pool, the following vowel is a rounded vowel, oo, long oo vowel, right? Long oo. Then when you pronounce P-O-O-L, it is like pool, pool. Then how do you pronounce per? There also, you round your lips. Normally, when we say per, we don't have to round our lips. No, I can pronounce per like this, per, per, without rounding my lips. But when I say the word pool, I have to round. I automatically round my lips, both lips, even when I am pronouncing per. Why is that? Because the following sound is a rounded vowel. So how do I phonetically or phonologically explain that? The consonant per becomes labialized before the rounded vowel oo. You know, labialized means both lips are involved. Ooh, pool. Same incident happens to all these other examples. Boot, tool, dot, cock, wood. In all these examples, the relevant consonant is pronounced with rounded lips. So they are labialized. Right? So this is one phonological process. And that phonological process is shown or represented in this phonological rule like this. We have another example. Alveolar sounds are dentalized before a dental. Another phonological rule. Okay, alveolar sounds are dentalized. You know, normally alveolar sounds are not dental, no. Alveolar sounds are alveolar because our tip of the tongue rises and touches the alveolar ridge, and that is why they are called alveolar sounds. But that can change in usual pronunciation, where these alveolar sounds can become dentalized because of the influence of the following dental sound. So this is the phonological rule that can be written to show that incident. These are the alveolar sounds, you know, s, t, d, n, l. These are alveolar consonants. But these alveolar consonants are pronounced by touching the what? The tip or blade of the tongue with the upper teeth, not alveolar ridge, right? Upper teeth in front of dental consonant. Now there are two dental consonants, no, th and the, right? So then what happens is that the consonants t, d, n, l, any of these consonants can become not alveolar but dental if the following consonant is either the or the. That is the phonological rule or the process. So you can find example sixth. In sixth, I'm talking about sir in the letter X, right? Although in using spellings, we write S-I-X-T-H, sixth in this word, X. If you write it in phonetics, it would be written as using the two sounds k and s, right? K and s. That last s is pronounced in front of the, this the, and the is a dental sound. Therefore, this preceding s also becomes dental. Sixth. Now you simply pronounce the word six naturally, right? Don't think of anything of these things. Naturally say sixth. Sixth. When you pronounce X sound, right? There is a S sound in X now, right? Where is your tongue? Your tongue definitely lies with the upper teeth, not in alveolar ridge. It touches the upper teeth. That is the process of dentalization. And t can also become dentalized in front of a dental consonant like in eighth. Right? Eighth t sound. And then n in 10th. This is the dental consonant. And l in front of t sound, wealth. And d in front of means before t, with. So I'm talking about these sounds. I will highlight, right? So sound is there here. Now you need to write these words in phonetic script, then you can easily find out. Eighth. Right. The sounds I highlighted here in these words become dental because of the influence of the following dental consonant. And the relevant phonological rule is written here, like that. Okay. Right. So this is another phonological rule then. Okay, right. Yeah, actually, I have taken only two phonological rules. These phonological rules refer to the pronunciation changes, okay? Don't confuse between phonemic rules and phonological rules. I was talking about both today, no? Phonemic rules are used to talk about the allophonic variations. How a particular phoneme is realized as which allophone in which environment, like that. But phonological rule talks about the change of the pronunciation, right? Some phonemes change into other particular allophones in front of certain due to the influence of certain sounds in the environment. So that involves a pronunciation change. So that is phonological rule. Actually, both are interrelated. Okay, both are interrelated, but you need to understand here phonological rule talks particularly about a pronunciation change of the pronunciation, right? Okay, right. So I don't want to discuss more about phonological rules, and actually this particular point marks the end of our discussion on phoneme, right? I started to talk about phoneme and then allophone, uh, some diacritic marks in using in writing allophones, and then most importantly phonemic rules and phonological rules. So these are the things I discussed now. If you have anything to ask or any area which is not clear, you can raise them now. Otherwise, in a few seconds, I may be going, I guess I have 3 more minutes left. I may be going to the next discussion, the next section. But before that, I'm right not in a hurry. I am ready for anything you want to raise. If you want, you can ask me. Yeah. Hello, are you all listening? Were you listening so far to me? Oh, do you are you in the impression that you should depend on the recording later?
We are listening you, ma'am.
Really? I mean, if you have any problem, then you can raise, but no one was talking, and that's why. Because phonology is something not that much. What can I say? It is interesting, right? It is interesting, but not. I don't find a suitable word. I don't want to say easy. It is not that easy. Right? That's the thing. You need to concentrate. You need to understand. Otherwise, you might slip certain things.
Yeah, ma'am, we know.
Okay. So then silence means earlier you may not have any problem. Then I will just go into the next section, right? Actually, I don't have time to finish the discussion of this, but still I thought of moving on to this area. This is not different actually, right? Phonotactics are there in phonology, but this is somewhat a particular area, right, which is not very much discussed. Because usually in talking about phonetics and phonology, we are dealing with the production of sounds and then talking about the phoneme, allophone, and also phonological rules and all these things. No? But it's very rare where we talk about phonotactics. That rare topic has come into this syllabus. So therefore, I think it's good, right? For you to be familiar with phonotactics also, this is not lengthy area, right? Okay. Actually, phonotactics means what? In the first sentence, you are given the idea. Phonotactics are the constraints. Constraints on positions and sequences of sounds in a language. So when we talk about the examples, you will very clearly understand what phonotactics means, but you get the basic idea now. Phonotactics are the constraints or restrictions regarding the positions and sequences of sounds in a language. And phonotactics are always language specific, just like phonology, allophone, phoneme, these are language specific. No, just like that, phonotactics are also language specific or dialect specific. That means combinations of certain sounds may be permitted in another language which are not permitted in English. So always we are taking English language as examples, right? To discuss examples, we take English language. Then talking about the English language, right? There are some sound combinations, some combinations of sounds that cannot be seen in the English language, but that can be seen in any other language. Okay, like example, pa na. Now, these are two consonants, right? These are two consonants, you know. So you don't find this sort of a consonant cluster at the beginning of an English word. Do you find any English word that begins with this cluster? Can you remember any now? Any English word that begins with these two consonants, not having any vowel in the middle, okay? It's a cluster. Cluster means these two consonants occur one after the other immediately. Any cluster, any English word that begins with this cluster? Can you find? No, not in English language.
No, ma'am.
No, yeah. That is a constraint. That is a constraint regarding the sequencing or positioning of these two sounds. Per, na cannot be used in sequence. In sequence in English language. But that can be possible in any other language, not in English. That is why we say phonotactics or these constraints on using sounds is always language, are always language specific, right? That's language specific. So you have some examples on that. There are some positional constraints in English. Positional constraint means some constraints on the positions of words. Positions. Because when we talk about the positions, we have three basic positions of a word: initial position, middle position, and end position. So talking about the English words, right? There are some sounds that are not normally coming in the initial position, right? Just like this one, ng. I hope you remember this consonant sound. This is a velar consonant sound, ng, ng. But can you find any English word that begins with ng? Can you find any English word that begins with ng? Never. No, you don't have. But ng is available in the middle, the medial position, as well as in the end position. Like when you say ink, 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 ng occurs in the middle. And when you say nothing, ng occurs at the end. It is word final only after a stress vowel, as in anger. Anger. Here also ng is there in the middle position. The following sound is a stressed vowel. Yeah, right? But never in word initial position. Never in word initial position in English language. So that is the use of ng is an example for positional constraints in English language. Okay, hope you are following these ideas with these new terms: positional constraints, phonotactics. These are not very familiar to you, but you will be familiar now, right? So you should understand that phonotactics is not a rule or anything like complicated, right? It's quite easy to understand. Quite easy. So you will clearly understand it with some examples. So here you have more examples talking about the consonant clusters, both initial and final consonant clusters. So I have taken few examples here. You read this part, okay? Already you have this note with you all. So the next day I'll just, refer to these examples on phonotactics. And then, sorry, I expect to wind up the discussion next day, not today, with suprasegmental features. Okay, because today I don't have time even to talk about the other examples of phonotactics. So please be familiar, right? As always, I'm telling to you, just be familiar with these parts of the note, then come to the meeting. Suprasegmental features also, I know that you have learned them already in your higher national diploma. Stress and intonation, all these things. But
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, I know. Therefore, I don't think I should be taking long time to talk about suprasegmental features, right? I will discuss these also next day, and in the next day I may be moving on to the new lesson as well, right? So meanwhile, I'll send you the note. I'll upload it in your group. Okay, then, right. So I will continue with phonotactics next day. All right. So as the time is up, I'm going to wind up today's discussion. As always, I'm telling before I wind up, I invite you all to come up with your problems or doubts or anything live in the meeting. Okay. So that I have the chance to explain them and you have the chance to get them clarified rather than thinking about these problems later on without my presence. Okay, right then. Well,
All clear, ma'am.
yeah.
All clear, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Right. Okay, then so we'll wind up, right? We'll meet next day. Well, okay. Good night, all of you.
Thank you,
Good
madam.
night, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.